And that part was pretty difficult. And teary.
You look like you're getting teary.
No, I'm not getting emotional today.
All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we are doing a question from our Ask Me Anything form. So if you don't already know, this is a form that we have down below if you want to check it out. And we are answering your questions for free. So if you're financially strapped, check it out. It's a free resource. You just exchange your email and you just check the consent form so that we can actually speak about this on my channel.
Yeah. Please.
So this is a resource that you can use if you are struggling. And the beautiful, beautiful thing about this, it's so synergistic in the way that it works. Not only do we get new content we can bring to you, but also it helps answer this question for you and helps other people that may be struggling through the same lessons and the same blocks, same wounds.
And sometimes it even helps us.
And it does, of course, it helps us. Yes, it helps us dive deeper into our relationship. It helps us see each other better. or more scarily. But yes, this is a very beautiful energy exchange. So if you'd like to participate below and you have a question, fill out the form. Quick thank you to everybody who has ever filled out a question. We love you, we see you, and we're very, very grateful for your courage to fill out a question and to actually put yourself out there. So thank you for being a part of this beautiful thing. And today we have a question from Trisha. So Trisha says, over time, how has your perspective shifted on your ideal relationship? What expectations did you have and how have they altered before you met, during physical separation, early stages of your relationship, having a child and growing together? What were you most surprised to let go of? What were you not expecting to become important that has? This is also a very loaded question. There's lots of elements to this question.
The answer is yes.
So, what expectations did you have, and how have they altered? And then, how has your perspective shifted on your ideal relationship? So, I would be like, if I were being completely honest.
Wish me luck.
From a twin flame level, I definitely had some like very idealistic expectations of what this would be like, especially through separation phase, because in separation you're really primarily with yourself. So you can make this to be whatever you can daydream and fantasize about, whatever you want and whatever you think it's going to be, especially those of us I think that are hyper spiritual. Can be like, oh, it's going to be this amazing, beautiful, divine thing. But then what I'm telling you is the degree that it is divine, it is also that exact degree raw and human. So it is as mundane as it is divine, right? And the reality there is there really is no separation. Mundane is spiritual and spiritual is mundane. Like there is no separation. We just like to believe that there is. But the thing that I probably did, and I'm actually coming to terms with more so now, again, is rotating around this idea that the twin flame journey is not a romantic relationship. It is an awakening journey. So
can be romantic at
100%. Yeah, I mean,
just put that out
there.
Yeah,
it can definitely be romantic. And I think like as a Leo, like I'm somebody who does like romance and does like gestures and gifts and like things like that. And I really appreciate those kinds of things. And I think for me, in the very beginning, like I really idealized the twin flame journey and what it was going to be like to be in union. And I hope this doesn't make anybody afraid, and I hope this doesn't stop you from pursuing what you want to pursue, but that's just my honest truth. Is that, you know, I really was like, oh, it's going to be this divine thing and we're going to come together and everything's going to be perfect and amazing and I'm never going to have to worry about anything again. And the reason that we started making these videos is because that is a load of baloney. That is not true. So I think I definitely had like, I really had a hard fall maybe in the beginning of our union when I realized how much work this was actually going to continue to be. Just because of the meeting yourself over and over and over again. Each new phase of our lives, I'm met with another version of myself that I don't like, or I'm met with another version of myself that needs to evolve, or I'm met with another version of myself that I'm afraid of. And it's reflected to me in what James looks like, says, does, everything. It's literally reflected in everything he is. And then I'm like, oh God, like now
So it's
I
all
have
your
to
fault.
now I have to deal with that. So that was the main thing for me. So for you, how has your perspective shifted on your ideal relationship? What expectations did you have, and how have they altered?
I think for myself, I mean, obviously I had expectations, everyone dreams of this like perfect relationship where you
This
can,
perfect surfer girl.
yeah, this perfect girl who would let me go surfing whenever the hell I want to. I've been surfing 3 times this year. It's terrible.
Yes, but you've been golfing a lot.
I've golfed 5 times this year.
Yeah.
I've golfed more than I've surfed, which I never thought would be a sentence I'd say my entire life, but it's still fun. Yeah, I think for me, I had expectations of what I thought the relationship would be. Obviously, I had expectations of what I would like to see and how I'd like you to react to certain things and how I'd like you to understand me, which obviously a lot of those things most of the time weren't necessarily the way I wanted it to, but it was the way it needed to be.
Speak more on that. Dive into, I think that's really important for people to understand. So you're saying you had expectations of how I was going to receive you.
Yes.
They weren't always meeting your expectations, but they were what they needed to be. Can you speak more on that?
So, I mean, obviously, for the two of us, culturally speaking, we grew up very differently. With me being in South Africa, you being in the United States. So there's certain things, like even if I think of like what me and my friend group or colleagues or co-workers and whoever is around me, what we find to be like comical or funny, in that some of it goes straight over your head and it actually makes you more annoyed and angry at me, and then I'm sitting there I'm like, but it's funny, why don't you see it? But it also helped me see it like a different way, like, okay, sometimes maybe these things for certain people wouldn't be funny, and obviously like some of those things I've learned over time. But when it comes into a relationship, somebody you spend, well, most of every single day with, and you're always around each other, and you see each other's good sides and bad sides and happy days and sad days and angry days and all of that lovely stuff that makes up a relationship. it's it just shows you that a lot of times what you want to get from that person in a moment or response, you can make it known to them that's what you want to get. Does not mean that that is what you're going to get, and does not mean that that's how they can respond. And the thing is, they might respond in some moments that way if they are on the right trajectory towards that. But as well, like if I go to work during the day and you here alone at home with Claire and you're doing your things, I don't also know how the days affect you. I don't know if there's been a moment that's upset you. I don't know if you've stubbed your toe and then Claire was crying, or I don't know. So all these different factors that could come in. So sometimes I might be like, oh well, I know that Serena likes this, and I come home and do that thing, and then Serena's like, screw you, James. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't make sense. But it's because there's so many levels to it, and it's constantly a learning experience. Like there's nothing that's kind of set in stone. There's nothing that this is where it's going to be every single day. It's a constant lesson that we just have to keep going through and going through and going through. And I think that's one of the things that makes these relationships that much more special and that much more closer and that much more involved and has so much more deeper emotions and feelings and everything, is because there is no one way or the highway. It's you pretty much going down like a 20 strip wide fucking highway. You could be in any one of the lanes at any time, but you never know what's going to happen. I think that makes it really fun. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've had to kind of adapt to and overcome, is that there's sometimes a lot more than what you might imagine. And it's something that, I mean, I still know for a fact, and I'm sure you agree with this as well, that I still struggle with at times, is that sometimes there's a lot more to it. Because, yeah, I mean, end of the day, even though we are twin flames, we're still two very different people.
Well, and I think that is part of the unconditional love of the journey. Is like, if you, like, let's say one of us makes a comment expecting the other one to respond in a certain way, 9 times out of 10, they actually are not going to, because what they're actually showing you is that you had an expectation attached to what you were doing or saying. And so then what they're showing you is, don't have an expectation attached to what you're doing and saying if you don't vocalize that to the person. Like you're getting good at this, especially when you show me like reels and things like that, where when you say like, hey, I saw this thing and I thought it was really funny. It's like a program to me because I'm very highly sensitive and I take things very literally. So it's like he's prepping me by he's saying, oh, I saw this thing is really funny. Can I share it with you? And then I'm like, okay, I'm prepped. Okay, funny. Okay, blah, 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 lighthearted. Okay, now let's watch it. Whereas if he were just like, hey, come look at this, I wouldn't even know what to do, right? So like, it's really...
Get a sense of humor.
Can I borrow yours?
Anytime, I have plenty.
So it's funny because it's like, you know, on this, in a more spiritual perspective of what you had just said, it's like you have to drop the masks and the roles and the expectations because you have no idea who's going to show up in front of you right now. Yeah. And the task at hand, which is really, really difficult, is how do we just accept them as they are in this moment? And we do not get it right. Like I would say maybe 50 to 60% of the time we get it right. The rest of the time, it like
used to be lower.
It's like it's no man's land, and it's like we're just trying our best, right? And that's part of it. So let's move on to this continued question. So before you met, during physical separation, early stages of your relationship, having a child and growing together, what were you most surprised to let go of? What were you what were you not expecting to become important that has?
Golf.
That's such a man answer. So you know what's a really interesting, I think, like, so I want to bring sexuality into this because I think what's really interesting with the sexual development of our relationship was, like, you guys, I literally had physical scabs on my chin when we first met from the degree of intense sex that we were having. Like, that might be TMI for some of you, I'm sorry, but that's like literally, like, it was so raw, so passionate. And then it moved into a stage where I felt like, you know, I would, like, in the very beginning of our relationship, when we were coming back into union, obviously, like, outside of union, during separation, there was still a lot of sexual energy, I would say, between us.
I'd agree.
And then in the early stages of our union, also the same. Also, interestingly, I had baby energy, like, from the moment, like, pretty much the airplane touched down. So we had a whole thing around, like, is there a baby coming? Is there a baby coming? Like, and remember when we first met, I was like, if we stay together, we're gonna have a baby in like this many months.
Well, you said if you had to stay here for a year with me, you'd be pregnant.
Yeah. So, like,
that's exactly what
this
happened.
is why, so Claire's energy was already present with us, I feel like, for a long time before we even knew it, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm not explaining this well, but so I think because this is the most interesting thing to me about our sexual evolution was, remember we took a picture of the bed completely moved out of its place when we stayed in the apartment? So that's a good depiction of, like, kind of where we were at sexually in the beginning, right? And then we went into a place where I feel like during my pregnancy with Claire, so much new was happening, and, you know, like, there was so much, like, anxiety and doubt and worry and all these things that stress. I felt like and stress, because we were doing so much at that time. We were trying to get married. We were also trying to build a house. Like, we were trying to establish ourselves. And so, like,
a lot. I
feel like creatively and, like, sexually, like, my dial got turned down to mute. And I was really, like, not interested at all in sex very much. Like, I wasn't super interested. I was in a place where I really needed to be nurtured. I really needed to feel safe. Like, that was such an important thing for me at that time. And one of the biggest, so this is part of the question, what were you most surprised to let go of? And I realized during this time, like being pregnant with Claire, and then, you know, after having Claire and being afraid to have sex again, I realized how much, again, of my value I was putting on what I could provide to my husband sexually, right? So, and because this was a thing in my childhood, my dad cheated on my mom, I had all of these like limitations and these lack-based beliefs, like if you don't provide that, they're going to leave you. If you don't provide that, they're going to find somebody else. And the one most healing thing that James has done for me is allow me to take that space away completely from sex and return to it in my own time and say, hey, I think this is important to reintroduce again.
Yes, please.
So like this is something that we've now turned the leaf on and are now reopening, and this is something that I did not expect to have this type of healing like out of this. Like I was not at all expecting to do this much work and do work in the form of not engaging in it, right? Like I always thought like once you're married then you're going to have sex and then that's that. And you know, I wasn't expecting to have periods where it was like, no, we're focused on intimacy in other ways, or we're focused on just this aspect of our relationship, or this, like you were saying with like the 20-lane highways, it's like we're way over here, now we're over here, now we're over here. And like the different support that we need from each other has been really different throughout the phases of our marriage so far. And it's been really nice for me to experience that you can allow aspects of yourself to die in a relationship, and that doesn't mean that the relationship also has to die. Like you can go through your sacred seasons and your sacred cycles, allow the death to happen, and if you have a safe partner, they will support you in that and allow you to come back to life in your own time. So I think that has been one of the greatest healing facets for me. I'm going to put it over to you. What were you most surprised to let go of? What were you not expecting to become important that has?
I think one of the first things that kind of came to my mind when you were reading it out now during the session, the video, was one of the things I was most surprised. Hang on, wait, what?
What were you most surprised to let go of?
Stop there. One of the things I was most surprised that I kind of had to let go of during, you know, from us getting married, having Claire, and going through the last almost 2 years now, was, and it's hard to phrase in a way that doesn't sound bad, but to a degree losing my connection with you, because obviously during that period we were sorting out a lot of things, like you said, in our sexual front there was things there that we lost because of there were other things that were more pressing, more important. And as well, then when, you know, Claire arrived, your focus was solely on Claire, which obviously I've got no complaints about that at all, but there was a big part of that I had to kind of let go of you so that you could be there for her. And that part I didn't really expect to happen, that I'd have to, like, you know, this person who I want to spend my entire life with, I'm like, okay, I gotta let you go away. Even though you're still there with each other, and that part was pretty difficult. And you know, teary.
You look like you're getting teary.
No, I'm not getting emotional today. So that part for me was quite difficult, to know that, you know, I kind of had to let you go and know that you weren't also just gonna, you know, like disappear and run away because, you know, I wasn't being right there for you the whole time, which it's quite a scary thing, because, you know, normally you think, you know, if I let my partners do what they want and don't give them attention or don't like be there in that way, you know, they just could be like, oh no, they don't care about me anymore and I'm gonna leave or whatever it is, and that's quite daunting. So yeah, I think that was the hardest thing, and the thing I didn't expect to have to let go of.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because in our community, so if you guys are interested in joining a twin flame community, I do run a beautiful community. And one of the things I just put in that community was, you know, what season are you in your twin flame journey? And I had just literally put that I felt like we were in spring, where we were coming out of this really long, hard winter, where I also talked about, you know, like not knowing who we were, because I didn't know who I was, you know, after
to relearn
birth.
ourselves.
And so I think you're right on the money there, and I do think you're right. I think it was really a painful time, and you're really just we're both really just trying to survive and get through it and give this little being like the most of us that we can. And of course you lose yourself along the way. Like that's just very natural to kind of lose touch with yourself in that way, and then find what's been really beautiful to me is to be able to find our way back. And you're right, like it takes a lot of trust to say like, okay, how can we burn this thing to the ground and then trust that something new and beautiful is going to be reborn from the ashes. And I guess that is the twin flame journey anyways. And doing it, this is maybe one of the most pertinent times that we've done it together, right? Like we've both had those moments in our lives where we've started all over, where we've burned things to the ground and had to be reborn from the ashes. But I think this is the first time we've really done it like physically together.
Yeah, where it has happened to us at the kind of simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know I felt like kissing you then.
It's gonna get part 2.
So what were you not expecting to become important that has?
I think one of the things that I didn't expect to become as important as it has, and this I feel for both of us, obviously just from my side for both of us, is our own time to still have for ourselves. Like for you to have some alone time where, you know, you can do your thing, which also I think gives me more time with Claire when it's just me and her, because obviously then it's very different interactions, but for you to have that, and as well for me to have my kind of hobbies or my things I like to do, like, you know, like I'm sure most of you heard, I play soccer on a Monday night. The fact that I golf and surf and that, and sometimes go hang out with my friends or anything like that, those things became very important to me, and it's something that you wouldn't expect to become that important, to have that time to yourself. And sometimes those moments might not have been like, you know, I could have gone and played soccer and it just kind of felt awkward sitting with my friends in the stands as we like didn't really talk very much, kind of just sat there like awkward, like But what that does for you as a person though is something that you can't buy, you can't explain it. It's just, there's something about it that helps you kind of come back to yourself. And there's times where, you know, I'll go say play soccer or golf, whatever it might be, and I have a great time with my friends. I'm like, oh, I feel so energized by that, and like I really need that. There's other times I go there and I kind of feel like I don't know if I really want to be here right now. I'd rather be at home with my family. So it kind of gives you the perspective of both times. So having that alone time, and I'm sure you felt that during your alone times as well, is that it really shows you, and it's so important because it shows you, you know, when you actually needed that time, and when you actually like, you know what, it really helps you focus back on the things that you actually want to be around, who you want to be around. And that's one of the things I didn't really expect to become so important, was having those moments in order to discover these things.
Yeah, I think definitely it has pushed both of us to asking it, like it's pushed us to the necessity of asking ourselves, what do I need right now, right? Because like we are like, you know, busy to the point of our schedules are full. We have work, we have parenting responsibilities, and so it's really asked ourselves to say, okay, what do you need? What do I need? What do we both need, and how can we make that work together? For me, I would say like what's become important that I wasn't expecting was like slowing down. I was not at all expecting to slow down life to the degree that I have after having Claire. And when I am appreciating it and when I am not resisting the slowness of my life, I am enjoying it a lot, and I'm feeling a lot of presence. And I'm having a level of nervous system regulation that I haven't had in my life in a long time. And so I think the slowness is something that I've really begun to embrace. And again, this kind of more divine feminine way of operating, where I'm understanding everything has a cycle. I have a cycle. If I'm tired, it's okay. Let's rest. You know, and not needing to push through, not needing to muscle through, not needing to be more than I am in this moment. And I've really begun to appreciate my time so much more, because I have limited time to work now that I have a baby. So I'm really relishing my work time. And when I get to go back to her, I'm really a lot of times relishing the time that we have together, because she's growing so fast, and because I know that time is also limited. So I've really embraced this kind of slower pace of life where I get to go out in the garden, where I have this luxury of time. Time is such a luxury that not a lot of people have. I get to wake up with the sun. I get to visit the garden every single day. I get to go on trips and excursions with my little nugget. Like, we get to just walk around very slowly everywhere, picking up stones and doing fun things. And that's something that I think not a lot of people, especially in the Western world, get to experience life this way. And it really is a blessing to be able to say, like, oh, on a random, I work from maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 p.m. And then at 2 p.m., I can take my daughter to the beach if I want, right? Or like we can go hang out at a farm stall and pet the animals and have a coffee. And like there's something really beautiful about the pace of life here that has taken some adjusting to, for sure. I was very cagey in the beginning. I remember I was super cagey in the beginning. And I still get that way from time to time. We were just talking about it today. So I'm still learning a balance of excitement and slowness because both are important. But I've really embraced and found a lot of importance in honoring the slowness of nature and the slowness of our natural cycles.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting as well because when we first met, even though you're getting into that slowness cycle, because obviously you're traveling at that point, we almost were flipped because you're able to go with a much more kind of, don't want to say fast paced life, but the constant changing, where I was in a very slow pace, very easygoing kind of stage, where now you now settling into the bit of slow pace, and I'm at a point where I'm working 5 6 days a week from like 7 in the morning until like 6 at night, hustling away, doing my thing, constantly moving, not really ever standing still. So we kind of done a complete flip flop. And I mean, I'm sure as well for both of us in our lives, that flip flop has happened a few times, but now it's happening with both of us together within our relationship at the same time. So it's quite an interesting thing to actually watch unfold as we kind of work together through these exciting developments. Not challenges, exciting developments.
I hope this video helped you guys. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Let us know if you have some of the answers for yourself to these questions. I think this is a really important way to reflect on your own relationship and maybe where you are putting expectations on the relationship that maybe you shouldn't be, or maybe it's just a good way to open up this conversation. So use this and put it in the dialogue below, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here today. Bye.
Bye.